Hi, everybody. We have a couple of big shifts happening at the beginning of next week. On Monday, June 13th, Mercury moves into Gemini. And about 20 hours after that, the morning of Tuesday, June 14th, we have a full moon at 23 degrees Sag. And so Mercury entering Gemini is a great thing for all of us. And I thought we could celebrate and I could release some mini rising sign horoscopes for these shifts, for Mercury entering Gemini and for this full moon in Sag. I do a weekly forecast also that comes out every Saturday or Sunday. I do it on my Patreon and then I release it later on YouTube for free. And that's when it's kind of outdated. So if you want some of this information on time when it's relevant, don't forget to check out the Patreon link in the description and see if you want to join. And so you can look to the timestamps in the description to find your sign. But first, I'm going to go ahead and summarize the energy a little bit. So if you have felt lost or confused or disorganized in some way for the past 3 weeks, Mercury and Gemini can bring some major clarity. It can bring in some more organization energy, some more communication, both organization, communication, planning. All of that can go a lot smoother for everybody, a lot more logically, especially after dealing with all of that alcohol, losing your head energy for the past pretty much 2 weeks. So with Mercury moving into Gemini, it's a good time to have a talk you've been needing to have, or writing or speaking in general, catching up with correspondence that you might have been avoiding due to overwhelm. Technology can finally start to chill out. Gadgets should be working more efficiently than they have for the past few weeks. Traveling can go a lot smoother around this time and quicker with less issues, less delays. Maybe new information is revealed, brought out into the open. Some sort of new technology is released. Vibes around brainstorming, sharing ideas, and noticing maybe lots of chatter in general, either with yourself or in other people. So Mercury moving into Gemini for its final time, well, not final time, but the last time in this retrograde cycle, because the first time it entered Gemini was around April 30th. But this is the final time in the retrograde cycle, so it'll feel like positive completion and maybe the beginning of something new. So topics from around April 30th or May 21st could be revisited for the final time. So check your calendar or your journal, see what was going on around that time, and that'll give you more hints as to what to expect at the beginning of the week. And then on Monday night, let's move into the full moon. So technically, the next morning on Tuesday, June 14th, the full moon at 23 degrees Sagittarius can be seen in the sky, weather permitting, etc. But full moons are a time of culmination, of completion, and then release. They express the peak, the height, the climax of something, and then its release and descent. Full moons are, they shine a big light on something. They're revealing. They can reveal things to you you have been avoiding or that, you just haven't seen before. And a full moon in Sagittarius can bring up opportunities to wholeheartedly express opinions or beliefs, or noticing people doing that, as well as opportunities for adventure that can teach you something and then therefore shift a perspective, opinion, or belief. A Sag moon can be really fun, really lighthearted, a good time to do things you enjoy with people you have fun with. And also, with that being said, there are many opportunities to go overboard and be extra and unnecessary. Though the sextile from Saturn, there's a sextile from Saturn, so maybe not so overboard. It may be that after this step, after this phase of the full moon, there are still questions that need answers, and the answers aren't ready yet. But this full moon is ruled by Jupiter in Aries, which can bring us closer to authenticity, can bring us closer to our true authentic selves, Jupiter, the planet, is about truth and integrity, and Aries, the sign, is about fighting for what's raw, what's real, what's authentic, even if it's not pretty. Preferably if it's not pretty. I wouldn't consider this full moon any more emotional than any other full moon, filled to the brim with energy, but not any more emotional than general. But I would consider it passionate, especially around topics of what you find to be real, authentic, true, maybe around ethics, around wisdom, around freedom topics. So let's talk about the pros of this full moon. The pros. Number 1, it'll be a great time for expressing truths and authenticity. I mean, that's a pro, right? We all like being real here, right? Number 2, it can be fun and playful energy, good for hanging out with friends, watching movies, playing games. And number 3, it's a great time to gracefully stand up for yourself. And the cons of this full moon. So, things to keep in mind. Number 1, there may be opportunities to react to desires or fears that are not based on the reality of the situation, even if it feels like it's based on the reality of the situation. This full moon, I guess this is the second part, number 2. The full moon is square Neptune, which can definitely blow things out of proportion, make you tired, confused, foggy, hazy. So be aware of the dramatics or the habit of letting your thoughts get away from you. Try not to fall into fantasy land and drown in whatever story you weave. Overall, I would not consider this the most grounded full moon, not that they are very often, but I would recommend doing what you can to stay grounded amidst all the fun. For example, if you find yourself amidst whirlwind energy, try and recognize when you need to go outside and ground and chill out. And so the full moon will be charged with passion and energy, so it's also a good opportunity to work with any full moon rituals that you might have in your back pocket. As you know, the full moons are often about release, so it's a good time to use this full moon magic to help you release anything that might be holding you back from your highest potential. And so I'll give you a quick example of an easy full moon release ritual. Number 1, prep your space. Some ideas include, putting on high frequency music or music that you really love, gives you a vibe, lighting your favorite incense, praying, calling in your guides and angels. You could say something like, with divine love and protection, I call in my guides and my angels to assist me with this ritual for my highest good. Number 2, light a candle. Any candle. It doesn't matter. It's okay if you don't have a candle. Also, this step can be skipped. Number 3, get a small piece of paper. I always rip a tiny corner off a piece of binder paper from a notebook. On that small piece of paper, you write down the things you want to release or the multiple things you want to let go of. And if nothing specific is coming to mind to release or let go of, the statement, release what no longer serves my highest good, is a good idea. Otherwise, you can get as specific as possible with what you want to release. Universe got jokes, so don't leave any room for jokes, if that makes sense. Number 4, get yourself a dish, a mug, an ashtray, or a cauldron, something to put the flaming fire in, the flaming paper in. With the intention of release, you're going to burn the paper with the candle you lit earlier, or with whatever flame you have. And if you don't want to use flame, you can also just rip up the piece of paper into small, tiny pieces and throw them in the trash. Don't bury them. We're not trying to bury seeds here. We're getting rid of it. We're throwing it in the trash. And for number 5, you're going to thank your spirit team as the final step to tell them that you're finished with the ritual and either blow out the candle or let the candle burn all the way until it's done. So, there's a little easy full moon ritual, release ritual. With that summary covered, with the ritual covered, we're going to go ahead and jump in sign by sign. So let's start with Aries for the rising sign horoscopes for June 13th and June 14th. Aries, things are going to get a lot more busy for you in your immediate environment when Mercury enters Gemini. What is your immediate environment? Your neighborhood, your household, etc. A lot more correspondence, a lot more phone calls, texts, emails, conversations, paperwork. A lot more traveling back and forth, driving back and forth. Maybe experiencing a trigger around your identity, around your goals and objectives. And this trigger will lead to healing in some way. Spending more times with extended family or siblings. Spending more time with schooling, teaching, or learning. And this full moon for you was going to offer a realization that could shift your perspective on something you've been reckoning with lately, something culminating with a perspective you hold, something to do with a belief, maybe to do with school or long distance travel or spiritual topics. Overall, this is like in your mind, there's some sort of shift happening. And that's what I have for Aries. So let's go on to Taurus. Taurus, your finances, your income, your resources, all of that becomes a very busy topic with Mercury entering Gemini. More activity happening around money and material possessions, more money being exchanged, but also feeling more like earlier, maybe a few weeks ago, it felt like maybe Jesus take the wheel, and now Jesus is giving you the wheel back to hold and be in control of. Maybe a culmination or realization around shared resources with a partner or with a bank, allowing for a good change to happen. And there could be a trigger. You could feel a little bit ego bruised in some way behind the scenes. But any triggers coming up are doing so to assist with your healing and your growth. It's not a new trigger. It's old news coming up to be dealt with. But overall, it's a great thing to have Mercury in Gemini working on your money. This is exciting. This is an exciting shift for you, assisting with your resources and finances. And let's move on to Gemini. Gemini, you're going to be feeling way more like yourself, feeling like you're at the helm of your ship, steering it correctly and clear with direction. Vitality is going to improve. Your overall joy will improve in general as well. Your identity, goals, objectives seem to be heading in the right direction. This is what our goals are in life, to just feel like we have it together. For you, the full moon in Sag will illuminate something to do with a relationship, a culmination of a sort with a relationship. There could be a realization or a decision around a relationship, or, just being very social in general, talking to a bunch of different people. At the same time, you could be experiencing some sort of trigger around friends or groups or a person in power that you're friends with. This trigger is bringing out necessary information for you to see, feel, and process in order to heal and grow in ways that you've been challenged in the past. But overall, Mercury in Gemini is definitely something to celebrate. Feeling more social, feeling more like yourself, feeling like you got your shit together. Congratulations, you do have your shit together. Cancer. Spending time alone, communing with spirit, going on lone adventures, working on things behind the scenes, taking time to rest and recuperate are all themes for when Mercury enters Gemini for you. The ingress could bring news you haven't heard before, or just being in contact with a lot of people behind the scenes. Overall, this is a transit that asks you to step back, slow down, spend intentional time alone, and to work behind the scenes for a while. The full moon could illuminate something with your health or vitality, or an annoying person that you might have to deal with. And a light could shine on a pet if you have one, or if you're thinking of getting one. It could be a time of putting your head down and just working, hard work. There could be triggers coming up for you around your career and your reputation, your general goals and objectives, or your, how people see you. But so be extra kind to yourself at the beginning of this week. Take your alone time, hang out behind the scenes, just take a step back. You have permission to take a step back and chill. and kind of focus on taking care of your inner child at the beginning of the week. This is a chill time for Cancer rising. Leo rising, it is social butterfly season for you. Socializing more, especially with friends. Traveling with friends or to be with friends. Enjoying time in groups. Or being a helper to a person in power that you know. The full moon is just a super fun one for Leo also. A light shines on pleasure and fun. A great time to do anything you truly enjoy. Camping, partying, chatting, drinking wine, creating new things, dating people you really like, really just having fun with this full moon. So at the same time, there could be a feeling of sensitivity or like a trigger happening around a belief system you hold, or someone challenging you in a belief system you hold. These triggers come up to move through. So it's not really that big of a deal, but I did want to bring it up. But overall, it'll be a really fun couple days for Leo rising. Virgo. This is going to feel super nice for Virgo. Mercury moving into Gemini allows you to feel like you have your shit together. The ingress will usher in something to look forward to with your overall goals and objectives in life. Things could feel a lot clearer for you in general at this point. At the same time, you could experience a trigger to do with your shared resources with other people in your life, maybe with shared money or with something going on in your partner's life. This is a trigger coming up to move through to be healed. So no fear here. It's not going to be that big of a deal, just a tiny little bump. Meanwhile, the full moon will illuminate something to do with your home life, your property, your family life. Something is culminating with your foundation, moving on to the next phase. Overall, great things are happening for Virgo rising, vitality improving with Mercury moving into Gemini, and maybe having more career opportunities as well, more life opportunities in general. Great things are happening and moving forward for you. Libra. This is a very refreshing shift for Libra risings. Mercury moving into Gemini will feel so much lighter for your mental state. A shift in perspective coming that lightens the mood. A shift into feeling more connected. Travels being way more enjoyable and smoother. Maybe going on a really fun vacation. At the same time, there could be a relationship trigger that surfaces to be dealt with and moved on from. The full moon could reveal something about your thought processes and the way you've been thinking about something, maybe shifting, realizing. There could be a change with your mode of transportation or with your extended family. You could also be really busy with correspondence, with errands, and just communicating with people in general. So it's busy and it's good. It's definitely getting better. Scorpio. With Mercury entering Gemini, a few things could happen. Something could trigger fears and anxieties you are familiar with. A shift with shared resources or with money that you have. If you have a partner, something could shift around them this day. You could be a little bit emotional about work or about a pet around this day. But for the next couple weeks, you may find yourself ruminating more than usual. It's a beneficial time to take up short meditations or whatever you do to meditate, short walks, some sort of mental self-care. Maybe seeing your therapist again, just working on your mental state. It'll be a little bit harder with some anxieties coming up, but if you have your tools ready, it won't be that hard. This full moon, on the other hand, will reveal something about your resources, your money, your income, your material possessions, or your diet and food habits. You could receive some money or make an investment in something. Be careful, though, with that square to Neptune. There are chances to overdo it. Sagittarius. The beginning of the week will have a lot to do with you, your identity, your goals, your objectives, versus your relationships with your partners and their goals and objectives, and your clients or any one-on-one time you have. Mercury in Gemini will bring a lot of different kinds of people into your life, lots of people to chat and connect with. This can be especially true online or with technology. You could be having conversations about partnering up again, as what happened in April and May, but done over and done better. The same could be said about your client work. There could also be some sort of trigger around your desires, around what you truly want and what brings you joy, around fun. Whatever the trigger that comes up is here to help you move forward with a cycle that began in April of 2018. So the solution to the trigger will come up fairly quickly, but I do have to mention the trigger around your joy, around fun, around possibly around dating and your sex life. The full moon will be a big one for you, revealing you to yourself or to other people who see you. You could learn or realize something about yourself during this full moon, during the beginning of the week. It could also represent a culmination of the thing you've been working on for the past 2 weeks coming to completion, the end of a phase, and the beginning of the next phase. Capricorn. The beginning of this week has a lot to do with hard work, putting your head down and getting in some productivity. Something could come up with your vitality and health, but probably something good, like having more energy than usual and not really knowing what to do with all of the energy. Something enjoyable could come up with your pets or with your coworkers. For sure, there will be a lot of correspondence and communications going on with your work, the going back and forth vibes. It seems tiring, but Mercury and Gemini will give you that extra energy you need to be productive and make major dents in your tasks. At the same time, something could trigger you at home, having to do with your desires or actions you want to take with your foundation. This trigger is coming up for you to work through. It's something that you have been working through since around April 2018 when Chiron entered Aries for the first time. This trigger with your home life or your foundation, though, won't last very long. The solution will come up pretty quick. The full moon will be a private one for you, where a realization or a culmination is happening behind the scenes. A good full moon for you is spending time at home alone, resting, recharging, and maybe doing some rituals or magic or something that reconnects you to yourself. Aquarius. This is going to be a fun time for Aquarius. Mercury entering Gemini will usher in a few weeks for you of fun and enjoyment. The ingress could be the start of a project or hobby that you love. You could meet or spend time with someone you really enjoy. You could be having fun with kids or connecting deeper with your inner child, doing things you want, especially hobbies and projects that use your hands or are very detailed and very technical. At the same time, there could be a potentially triggering situation happening with the way that you're thinking about something. You may need a perspective shift that could occur at the beginning of this week. That or something could happen with your siblings or extended family or car. Not something bad, just an activity or an event. It's nothing to be alarmed about. This is contributing to a cycle that's been going on since April of 2018, so nothing blindsiding you. And the full moon is going to be a very social time for you, so maybe spending time chatting with friends, colleagues, networks, or a person in power that you are close with. Or maybe revealing something about said groups or people. Overall, this is a fun beginning of the week, and be open to perspective shifts. Pisces. There is some sort of good shift occurring with your home or family life or your foundation that you've created. There's a shift with property, maybe a remodel or revamp with your home space that you're planning. A lot more activity at home in general. More people visiting you, maybe talking more with family members or loved ones who you consider to be your family. Home life just getting busier. At the same time, there could be some sort of trigger coming up for you around your resources, around money, material possessions, or food and diet. This is a trigger that's coming up to be moved through and healed around. It's part of a cycle that began around April of 2018, so it's not blindsiding you. This is just a little trigger that's helping you move forward with some wound you have inside. Emotional wound inside. The full moon, though, will be shining a light on something at work or revealing something new with your career or with what you're known for doing. There could be a culmination or a climax of something going on with your work, or maybe a spotlight is shining on your completed projects or your heightened reputation. Overall, this is a good couple days for the Pisces risings, so be excited. So that's what I have for the horoscopes for the beginning of the week, June 13th and 14th. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are tuning in, I really do wonder if anyone listens to the outro. Are you expecting anything to come up for you for this full moon? Let me know in the comments. If you want some vibe support, if you want to chat about the astro weather or any other types of divination, don't forget you can chat with me and hella other cool people in the 9th house Discord. The link to join is in the description. I am endlessly thankful for your support and for being here. Be on the lookout for the next weekly Vibecast. Have an amazing week, y'all. Bye.